Hello, welcome to Laura's Painted Minis. I am Laura, and we are back with the kobolds. So then continue on with finishing up the scales and underbelly for these guys. This is a mixture of Kobold Scales, highlight orange, and then a little bit of Gnawed Bone. Don't think I had added in the Gnawed Bone last week, but I feel like it does help in getting the highlights up a bit more than they were. So I'll probably later, I'll do it off screen. Go back to the other two that I'd already finished last week and kind of just bring up the highlights on those a little bit more. Shouldn't really take all that long since it would just be like the highest highlights. And then this is the new highest highlight that I mixed up this time around. It's mostly highlight orange with a couple drops of the Gnawed Bone and then like a brush full of the previous color in it too. So it has just a tad bit of that Kobold Scale or whatever it would be in the previous color. So yeah, I feel like that really helps to kind of make the scales pop a little bit more. How was everyone's weekend? do anything fun or get some painting in? I had another weekend of very little painting done. We did a second birthday party for my son. This one was with all the immediate family members. We were just kind of trying out to see if it would be any easier on us, just as far as trying to not get overstimulated. It seemed I think we determined that that was a success in that regards. Our son sure did like having multiple birthday parties. My husband and I got started watching the first episode of Critical Role's new campaign. I've actually never watched really much of any of Critical Role's stuff. You've probably heard me talk about what I do watch, because I watch High Rollers, which they're the big UK group. And I know some of, at least like one or two of them, have been a guest star on Critical Role. This is our kind of the first chance where like he hasn't watched any of it. So, and I haven't, obviously, since I haven't watched any of their stuff. I remember, did I do the feet? Yeah, I did do it. Almost forgot to do underneath the feet. That's what I did it on the other two. I want them to be consistent because I'm going to sell them as a group. And it's a brand new world, so it doesn't matter that I haven't seen any of the previous stuff. So that's nice. Was a little bit confused about like if I was going to be able to watch it for free, not live. So like I checked the day after the technical live broadcasting. I'm not sure what they're doing, if it's actually like live anymore, or if it's just kind of like a live broadcast, but it's technically been pre-recorded. But then, yeah, anyway, it was marked as like members only on their YouTube and stuff. And there was no like explanation. So I kind of just had to wait around and see if maybe this week they were just doing a thing where it was like a week later posting it or making it open, which seems to be what they did because it is now free to view. So I'm glad there's that. Otherwise, I'd still be without watching Critical Role. I also don't think I've really actually seen Brennan Lee Mulligan DM. I don't have a ton of time to watch like all the different shows. Sometimes I'll catch some things, sometimes I don't. Most of the time, I'm just, if I am watching a live stream, so to speak, or rather, I guess it would technically be the recording of the previous live stream. Live playing D&D, I think, is technically the category. My husband was already watching Critical Role when I was looking for something to watch. And he sometimes will kind of just randomly talk about the things he's watching. So I kind of avoided that one for kind of on purpose. And stumbled onto High Rollers, I guess, several years ago. I definitely feel like there's more I can learn as a DM from the High Roller streams. I mean, again, I haven't watched much of Critical Role stuff, so I don't know. Whereas like Critical Role stuff, it's like just enjoyable to watch. It's like a whole other level of. I mean, they're you can tell they're all um, working really hard on like the acting out their characters part. I mean, you get that in High Rollers and other live play stuff, but yeah. It's like over and beyond, I feel like, what you're ever gonna experience in a typical D&D session with most people. Unless you like sit down and be like, we all really want to get into the role playing and that's what we want. And if you can get like a whole group who's into that, then like I guess it wouldn't be difficult to have something similar to like Critical Role, like having a group similar to Critical Role's group. Because that's that's basically a lot of their livelihood is doing that, is role playing. They are playing out, acting out specific roles, characters, etc. That's usually the thing that people are struggling, or players are struggling to remember to do. I think I've been thinking about actually with the Dungeon and Dragons group that I'm playing in, not the one that I'm running. So it's different than what I've ever played in before, because I've always played previously in groups where I know all the other people, at least to some degree. Whereas this group, like, this is other than like the GM and like one other person who, well, they're also they're in my campaign that I'm running. I really haven't met or talked to any of the others much before. So it's definitely interesting. I'm realizing it definitely kind of, it almost makes it a little bit more difficult because I'm trying to I don't know, necessarily learning how they play, but like, I guess, I don't know, getting to know them a little bit at least is, and like balancing with trying to also make sure that, you know, like I'm actually playing my character well. But I was kind of thinking recently of, for my character, just like hasn't really actually talked all that much with the others. I honestly just haven't even really thought about that. But I do have ideas, like I could just play off of that even in coming sessions, and like even just make it, you know, can easily make it of the excuse of like, okay, she's just used to not having people who can help her because she's been on her own for a while. And then like, you know, coming to the realization, and now that she's been with this group for a few days, we did actually try and think about that the last session. I think we determined it already. It had been about almost a week. since I in game since my character joined. I don't remember why that came up. And this keeps not wanting to stay focused. So yeah, even though it's kind of more of like my fault in a way of not really being prepared, I guess, really to role play my character and actually talk to other characters and learn more about them, like their characters. I think I have ideas of how I can just kind of make that make sense in a way. Rather than kind of like, oh, did the character played the character horribly last session or something, or instead of beating myself up, come up with a solution of how that makes sense. For that to have been the case, and then for essentially for the character to then change gears and actually start talking. I do need to kind of sit down and probably plan out a little bit more stuff and also figure out like contact players this week of the campaign I'm running. And see when we want to get together next. We'll kind of be like we're doing every like 2 months or so. So that's going to be kind of hitting around maybe November, December. So there will be holiday stuff in the mix. So we'll see if we're able to get together. Sometimes that can be hit and miss. Might end up doing a glaze on the other ones, but just want to get them all kind of pretty much done. So glaze won't take long to put on either. Add in some of those extra highlights on the first two that I did last week and then slap a glaze on. Okay, that's kind of right at time there. So we got all the rest of the kobolds pretty much finished up. Maybe do some tweaking of, like I mentioned, of the first two that I did to kind of highlight them more. Definitely could be brought up more and then do a glaze just so that it still looks kind of that. It's kind of like an orangey red. Thursday may or may not still be on this mini with the hair poke. She's getting pretty close to being done. Pretty simple. I do know I'm gonna change this and make it a the same dark color that I'll use for the wood, because I think it needs to be darker, and also bring this up even lighter, as well obviously crossbow and in the base and the eyes. So we'll see if I am done with this come Thursday. It's kind of a lot of smaller stuff, so stay tuned. Otherwise, this is the next mini that I have up next. I don't really remember what this base was for, but kind of looks cool. Fits with a little bit with what that character is supposed to be in the campaign. So yeah, we'll see you Thursday. Hope you have a good couple of days, and I'll see you Thursday. Same time, 1:15 p.m. Central, and I'll put links in the chat so you can find me or other places that I'm at in between now and then. All right, bye.